Awesome. Okay. We will be starting with some questions from our first ever live streaming. Okay, so what was your initial vision of 23andMe, and do you think it's lived up to that vision? So 23andMe started really with this idea that we really want to dramatically change healthcare. And, oh, can we turn off that? The back feed. So we wanted to dramatically change healthcare. And so in some ways, and we also wanted to empower the individual. So technical, thank you. So I think that the road, in some ways, like when I look at our Series A documents and I look at what we pitched to those initial investors, it's almost exactly the same mission that we pitched 12 years ago that we're still following today. So there's lots of things that we did not anticipate. So for instance, we did not anticipate the FDA issues. We did not anticipate, I did not anticipate how long it would take to drive the acceptance of genetic information. And there's other things that sort of surprised me in some ways, like our research mission surprised me at exactly how well it works. Like how well does it work to be able to bring people together, galvanize them around a mission, galvanize them around research, be able to make discoveries, and try to really have an impact on human health. So a lot of things, I'd say the vision, I'm lucky because I think that as a mission-driven company, the vision has really held. And I'm really lucky that 12 years later, I think we've really stuck with what our mission is, and it's in many ways gone a lot better than I ever would have expected. Any questions I should jump onto, or should I keep going through my? I'm going to go through my list here a little bit of some of the things. So, what is one of the most memorable Ancestry customer stories? This is something I think that surprised me, is just how much, when we started the company, we thought a lot about health, and I didn't quite realize how much, the sense of identity and learning about your ancestry was going to change people. So one of our earliest ever stories was a woman who wrote in, who had been adopted, who discovered that she was part of the Sami people up in the Arctic Circle. And she found, she was living, I think in California, and she ended up quitting her job and moving to go and work with the reindeer people up in the Arctic. And she wrote to us years later and said, like, I've never been more fulfilled in my life, that I feel like I found my people. I feel like I found my identity. I feel at home. And it was one of the first times I realized how much that 23andMe is really impacting people and their sense of identity by giving them their ancestry information. So I think similar on the lines of what's some of the health stories that we have gotten, one of the things I'm most proud of is that we do have the BRCA test, limited in terms of the common Ashkenazi Jewish variants, but that we do have the BRCA test out there, and I think it's had a really big impact on lives. So we've had a number of people who have written in about how much that has actually impacted. They found out that they were carriers, and it's gone on to really save lives. And in some ways, there's nothing more meaningful than being able to impact the life of, a young individual who has children and know that we had a big part in saving their life. So questions from you guys?
Yeah.
Tell me.
So one of the questions, why isn't Native American data from North America available yet?
Why isn't Native American data from
North
America available yet? Some of these are actually just a matter of time. It's not that we don't want to have these, but it's a question of, do we actually have the data to actually be able to generate it for you? So in order for each population that we're able to tell you information about yourself, we have to have a reference population, and we need to have data to be able to tell you that, in fact, that you are from this area, or from this group of people. So it's most likely, and I can get the specifics on it, but it's most likely that we don't have enough of that data yet. Other questions?
Let me see. Another question is, when will 23andMe have food sensitivity testing? And also the audience would love it if you could be a little louder.
Thank you. I can be loud. I've never been known to not be loud. So food sensitivity testing is not something that is on the roadmap unless it actually has a genetic basis. I have asked our team a few times about looking at allergies. I have not seen that there's great data right now based on genetics of food sensitivity, but it's something that we can continue to always be researching and looking at. So it's definitely something that we have wanted to do more research on.
Cool. Another question. Will you be able to at some point do a better job to differentiate Greek from Italian DNA?
Oh, good question. Differentiating Greek from Italian DNA. So I've always said our Ancestry product on day one is like, the early days of Google Maps. It's like or Google Earth. It's slightly fuzzy, but over time, and especially as 23andMe grows, it's going to get more and more distinct in terms of the resolution that we can give you back. So I would say, keep your eyes out soon, and we should be able to have better resolution for you.
Cool. Another question. Can you get better research into African ancestry?
African ancestry is a hot priority especially for this year. And this is something that we've been actively working on. And we are actively, working on, again, getting samples from especially Western parts of Africa and making sure that we can improve the African ancestry part of the product. So that is something that is a high priority for us. You'll see over the next 12 months.
Cool. Another question. Can you get DNA from something other than saliva? My grandma's 99 and we really want to do this, but she tried spinning and can't.
Yeah. So I really would like, there's some, we don't have a solution for you right now. And there are other ways, I would encourage people, some people have tried, cutting up little sponges and trying swabbing the mouth and then squeegeeing it into the tube. We don't have a solution for you yet, but it's something that I'm acutely aware of, that for very young and very old, it's hard to generate enough saliva. So we are looking at options for that, but we don't have a perfect solution for you yet. Soon.
Cool. Another question. I noticed my son's paternal haplogroup changed. Is this expected to happen to my haplogroup maternal, as well as algorithm info has changed?
Mm-hmm. We're continuously updating the site and making improvements. So you should see not major changes, but should continue to see minor refinements. Occasionally, I guess you would have something that is slightly bigger, but I think the majority of the time you should see, as we are updating the site and we're getting more data, you should continue to see that the resolution is improving. So you will see minor changes.
We're getting lots of questions about GSK. Can you talk about the collaboration?
Yes, I'm very excited about this collaboration. We've gotten to know the GSK team well for years. I'd say it's probably been almost a decade of knowing the GSK team, knowing Hal Barron, who's their head of research and development. One of my dreams, coming from my Wall Street days, I would look at drug discovery and say, there are a lot of aspects about it that were really tragic. You get really smart scientists who are passionately spending their life trying to cure a disease, and you have incredibly high failure rates. And it's a hard business to be in. And my hope with 23andMe was that if we actually bring together millions and millions of people and we have all of this information, that by having a genetic foundation to the ideas for drug discovery, that will have a higher success rate. So my hope here is that we can actually have a meaningful impact on drug discovery pipelines, and that we can actually discover drugs in a faster and more effective way. So, and the reason why we want to do this, because a lot of 23andMe is really dedicated to prevention. And, we want to give you, for instance, your risk factors for, different conditions, and help you think about what actions could you potentially take. So with the drug discovery side, it's acknowledging that there's a lot of people there who actually have a disease, and we want to find a way to improve their lives. And, I look at diseases like hepatitis C. It's amazing that this was a disease that was, horrible, and now it's cured. And if we can be lucky enough to play some part of the role of curing diseases, I think we can have a really positive impact on society. And the same thing is that I know our customers, like our customers who have diseases, they come together and they say, I'm very close, obviously, to the Parkinson's community. They're looking for, is there something that's a cure or something that's going to be radically different in the progression of their disease? And so if we can do something and somehow be part of that and enabling all of our customers to participate in that kind of solution, I think that we can have a really positive impact on the world. So the idea of collaborating with GSK is, I think it's a company that is really like-minded to 23andMe. They're very focused on having a very meaningful impact on drug discovery. So drugs that are really going to make a meaningful difference in a life, not just sort of a Me Too kind of compound, but something that is going to be, really impactful. And they're really embracing the idea of consumer involvement. And I think that is something that there is not enough of in the traditional healthcare world. There's not enough actually patient or consumer engagement. And I say, traditionally, clinical trials, people are human subjects. And I say often, like at 23andMe, we look at our customers as our partners. Like we're all, equally motivated in solving whatever health conditions plague our families. And what's a way that then we can actually power all this consumer enthusiasm with the research muscle of a group like GSK to really actually have an impact on our diseases.
Also, can you talk a little bit about opt-in and opt-out?
Yeah. So again, part of the philosophy of 23andMe was always the ability that there has to be enough. When I was on Wall Street, I didn't see enough balance between the consumers and the companies. So 23andMe has always been predicated on this belief that the consumers have the ability to get your own information. You can, get your DNA, you can download it, you can delete your account, you can opt into research, you can opt out of research. If you don't want to take a survey that we have about asthma, don't take it. If you don't take the survey, we can't, do any research related to, genetics in you in asthma. So we want to give consumers choice. But one thing that I have found is that people who have a disease recognize that, cures don't fall magically from trees, that there has to be, there's a research process and there's a drug discovery process. It's, littered with failures. And what we're trying to do is say, can we actually make that an improved process? And so for people who want to participate, 100% participate. For people who do not want to participate, you always have the ability to opt out.
Great. 1 minute. I was really encouraged by your recent action to reunite immigrant families. Please tell us your vision for finding relatives.
I think, the stories about the families that were separated were just, I think, tragic to everybody. And again, as a mom, I can barely spend one night away from my children. So the idea of somebody coming and ripping my children out of my arms is just unimaginable. So, we can see one of the things that 23andMe does really well is we reunite families that you don't even know that they're out there, and families that know that they're out there and families that don't know that they're out there. So there was an opportunity, we got lots of tweets out there about, can 23andMe help in any ways with this crisis? And so we did not actually end up doing anything, in part because there wasn't a way for us to actually do anything. But we offered that we are happy to donate kits if there's any way we can help reunite these families. And so I think, again, 23andMe is a very mission-driven company. We're really, again, I think about what are the right things to do? We're all humans, and we all feel the same emotions about how much we love our children, we love our families, we want to connect, we want to be loved. And so if there's ways that 23andMe can ever help with the services that we have, we are going to do it.
Do you offer any internships for biology undergrads?
We do. We love. Do we offer internships for biology undergrads? We do offer internships. And so it's actually one of my great pleasures is finding young, energetic youths who want to get into this space. And again, because I remember when I was young and doing internships, and it was really fun. It's fun just to learn. And I think that 23andMe, we have a responsibility. I see us as the leaders in making science education really accessible. And so I'm really enthusiastic about finding more and more young people where we can, help them, teach them basic, learn about corporate culture and learn about how companies work, and then educate them about, genetics and the mission of 23andMe, and, more about, citizen science and the ability for an individual to have an impact in the healthcare world. So yeah, we do.
So we have a question from
Okay.
Justin Sandlin from Smarter Every Day.
Mhm.
So he said, one of the main reasons I chose to participate in 23andMe's genotyping service is to help broaden the data pool for genetic research.
Mhm.
Do you have any specific examples of discoveries that have been made as a result of your research?
Do we have any specific examples of discoveries that have been made from our research? Yes. I would say this is going back to the first question I was answering in terms of what did we sign up for? Like, what did I think the expectations were for the company and how has it materialized? I would say that the research potential for this company in some ways is far greater than I ever expected. We have over 100 publications out there. Some of my favorite publications are the depression paper that we have, where we had over 400,000 customers participate, and we found a number of genetic associations with depression. And we got customers writing in saying, we never knew, like we've suffered from chronic depression, and we've always wanted to find some kind of reason why we have this, and so knowing that we participated in this research was so meaningful. So I am, it's a big mission for us to make sure that we are, doing research, that we're publishing, and also that we get it back out to the consumer. So if you participated in a research study, we want to make sure that you actually know you participated and that you actually see. Like for me, it's pretty exciting. I have over 50 publications thanks to the data I have contributed, and I think it's fun for people to compete on how much data have you contributed and how many publications are under your name.
So our next question is, since Parkinson's was your first focus, was any progress made from all that data?
Oh, Parkinson's. Any progress on that? I have to say, like, Parkinson's is obviously, it's a personal story because Sergey, the father of my children, he has the LRRK2 mutation. So he's higher risk for Parkinson's. And it's a great story about how much we went from not even knowing much about this genetic mutation to actually now having it on our chip, knowing that we have thousands of customers who have this mutation, and now knowing that there's actually a number of drugs in development specifically targeting this mutation. So I'm really excited about what we'll be able to do. We have part of the GSK collaboration specifically is working on their drug that is the LRRK2, so the specific mutation in Parkinson's. And I think because we have so many Parkinson's customers and we have longitudinal data, meaning we've collected information at different times from our customers, my hope here is that we will be able to, really have an impact on drug discovery and make something happen, faster than normally it could. So I'd say we've published, we have supported drug discovery. We work very closely with Michael J. Fox Foundation. We have given a number of researchers access to aggregate data. So we want to really make sure that we are having, again, we always think about what's in the best interest for our customers, especially on people who have a disease, and making sure that we can, trying to move it forward in a meaningful way. And for us, we'll be able to move it forward now with GSK in this drug discovery.
A couple things. So one, a really kind comment. Thank you, Anne, for giving us all the opportunities you have with 23andMe. Don't ever doubt you made a difference for good.
Oh, thank you.
And then a question from someone, will there be a way for me to share my paternal haplogroup from my half-brother?
So thank you for the comment. Will there be a way to share your paternal
Haplogroup
from your half-brother? That's a great question. I assume we don't enable that now. I think one of the things that we think a lot about is more and more the family tree and the complexity of enabling that to happen. So I think there's a lot of, like I said, we recognize the modern family, and we're continuously striving to improve ways for you to be able to share data and make these things happen.
What did you find shocking from your 23andMe results?
What did I find shocking from my 23andMe results? Well, one of the most shocking things that happened lately is I found a first cousin. So it was. So did you know that?
No, I know.
Oh, you didn't know that? Oh. I have. I always say 23andMe is the product that keeps on giving, and you never know just when you're gonna make fascinating discoveries. So there's all kinds of interesting aspects on the health side for me. And, there's stories that make sense, especially on the health side. But I would say the most surprising, I felt worse for this poor guy who, logged in and was like, who's obviously he was adopted and logged in and was like, holy cow, there's like a lot of Wojcicki's. And not only am I, found my biological family, there's a lot of them, and she happens to run the company. So that I'd say was one of the more surprising, and it was great because we always said we wish we had more cousins, and guess what? Now we do.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I guess that wasn't what you were expecting.
All right, another question. What does 2030 in healthcare look like to you?
What does 2030 healthcare look like for me? I think healthcare is really changing for the better. And I have to say, I'm pretty inspired by, I think, where it can go. I think that there's a lot, for the first time, I see convenience, largely driven, thank you to the millennial population, driven by this demand. We need better convenience of healthcare. And you see the pop-up of, there's all the minute clinics, there's all the urgent care centers. It's affordable. You can walk in, the prices are on the wall. More and more people have high deductible plans, and they need it to be an affordable service. And so I think that there's going to be a real shift in exactly how is healthcare delivered. I think that you're going to have telemedicine really taking on for the first time. I think that there's a lot of services that are only going to scale via the web. I think there's a lot of potential of AI and chatbots. And I think that, one of the things that I hope 23andMe is pioneering is a whole new world of prevention, where you can really get personalized prevention. And I think all of us would raise our hands and say, I'd much rather prevent a disease than have it effectively managed. And 23andMe is very uniquely set up to really do meaningful work on just how can you, with a genetic risk factor, prevent a disease. And that's something that I'm really pretty passionate about. So I think that healthcare is going to be much more digital. I think it's going to continue to be more personalized. And I think you're going to see a lot more scalable healthcare through, again, AI, chatbots, and just web presence. So I think it's a pretty exciting time.
Okay. Well, I think it's a wrap. It's 23 minutes.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. We'll see you soon. Sorry for any glitches. Sorry if you couldn't hear me. I'll be louder next time. And we'll see you all soon. Thank you.
And hit end stream for YouTube.
Okay, good. I'm learning. Totally. I have potential. I know it. And